Welcome to Divine Rhythm family. This is your big brother beloved, and today I got another word for you. I got one for you, one for the books, right? Today we're going to be talking about loving me like you love you. Loving me like you love you. What really inspired this word here, it came to mind that sometimes we don't necessarily know how to give presents, right? We don't know how to provide just intentional, genuine presence. Like I'm gonna give you a prime example. If you know that I like Jordans, I like the J's, I want to be like Mike. If I like Jordans, why would you buy why would you buy me Converses for my birthday? If I like Jordans, why would you gift me stilettos? Right? If you giving me stilettos, obviously you know nothing about me. But understand this, family. Loving me like you love you. It's still a part of that projection of thinking like, hey, look, I know what this person may like, and you're still self-seeking a little bit. And I think this comes from having a lack of just a lack of intention on knowing that individual and being able to be there for that individual to the best of your ability. And I think this and take this in consideration, right? These videos are mainly for individuals whom suffer from mental illness, mental disorders, substance abuse, or addiction, or those whom have family members who are suffering from these three things here, right? So anytime we are, assuming that caregiver posture, right? We are wanting to be there for those who may be going through, active addiction or just, they're suffering from substance abuse and things of that nature. I think that it'd be wise for us to do some intentional work and loving that individual, right? Loving me like you love you. I want to get into understanding what love is. And I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 8. I think a lot of individuals who are aware of the word, they know a little bit about this. If not, majority of people that's not even Christians know this scripture here, right? Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud, right? It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking, right? Keyword self-seeking. It is not easily angered, okay? It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoice with the truth. So it's safe to say if I'm loving me like I love you, I have to be patient with myself. I have to be kind with myself. I can't envy. I can't boast, right? If I'm going to represent love, if I'm going to project love, these are the things that we have to embody to understand what love is and be able to provide love intentionally to that individual, right? If I'm being intentional about loving this person correctly, I got to be kind to this person. It's not self-seeking. So I'm looking from the lens of the other individual that I want to express that love to, right? We have to do some intentional work on expressing that love, right? And where do we even get that love? Just like I got this from the scripture from based on what I believe we just get that love from God. God is love. So if you don't know God, how can you love me? If you don't know love, right? God is love. If you don't know love, how can you love me? Have you ever asked that? Have you asked the person that you're pursuing? Have you asked that to the person that you're in courtship with? Where is God in your relationship? Right? And where does God fit in your life? Right? Because in other words, is where does love fit in your life? What kind of relationship do you have with love? What kind of relationship do you have with being kind, right? Being patient, not being envious, right? Not being self-seeking, right? What kind of relationship do you have with those things? I think if we go into scripture here, John 14:15, I'm going to start with 14, chapter 14, just verse 15 here. If you love me, keep my commands, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to help you and be with you forever. And this is the Spirit of truth. So understanding, first and foremost, that we can't give something that we don't have. We don't have kindness for the person that we're trying to say we have love for, right? If we're trying to be there in a supportive role and reflect love, you can't say that I love you and you don't reflect kindness. You can't say that I love you and every conversation ends with self. You can't say that I love you properly, right? Sometimes we unintentionally do these things because we don't have a real perspective or a healthy perspective on loving ourselves. It's like the individual that comes here, happy birthday, this person's been dealing with substance abuse and they come by with a box full of bud or weed, right? Marijuana. This person's been dealing with alcoholism, and this person comes by with the Paul Masson, the Hennessy, the vodka. It's because that's what they would want, right? But if we're going to be individuals that are there to support people who we want to love properly, right, we have to be intentional on that individual. I just believe, how can you give what you don't have? We can go into 1 John 4:19. We love because he first loved us. I got to understand what that love is. If he had been kind with me, I don't know the proper way to be kind with somebody else if he wasn't kind with me, right? I don't know how to be patient with somebody else if he wasn't patient with me. When we have our own experience with our relationship with God, we're able to take what is being put in us and then release it to other individuals that may not have that relationship with others. And this is the reason why, though we can say, I love you, why can't you see that I love you, right? You get frustrated with yourself because it's like, I do love you, but they're not receiving it because you have to take a look at self and say what it is about me that they're not receiving my love properly. If I come by and I know that, hey, look, this individual here is dealing with some type of substance abuse, but no, man, it's family, man. Let's go ahead and kick it off. This is your birthday. We're gonna turn up for your birthday. Coming by with Hennessy is not helping them. That's not being intentional. That's buying me stilettos when I really need Jordans. I need some cushion. I don't need heels. You understand what I mean? Like this is what I think a lot of people just get wrong. Loving me. Come on now, loving me like you love you, right? You're self-seeking. You think what's good for you is what's good for me. You haven't done the intentional work to understand who I am and how to love me, right? You haven't done the intentional work on doing that. How do we do that? Well, we have to take a look at ourselves. Are we loving ourselves properly to be able to love others properly? You can't give anything you don't have. No, you can't give anything you don't have. So when we're looking at providing something that we want other people to experience, we have to know where to truly get a real, moral, authentic love, right? An emotion is more than an emotion, but it's a decision to say, I'm going to love this person, right? But how to practically do that is, from what I believe, going into scripture and practically working out how to be kind with somebody that you are trying to express that love with. Practically working out, taking the conversation away from you when you are listening to somebody trying to express themselves, right? Practically working out how to not boast about your accomplishments, boast about where you are emotionally and physically and, spiritually, if, boasting about those things when you're there to work and help somebody else get out of certain situations. They may not feel emotionally stable And so you don't boast about being emotionally stable. You be gentle with them. You be kind with them, right? You listen. You work on intentionally listening to somebody that you're wanting to be there for, right? So instead of loving them, take this into consideration. Instead of loving them like you would love yourself, like I said before, we don't have a good relationship with God. When we don't have that, and self, in addition to that, we would take that commandment, right? Love your neighbor as yourself out of context. When Jesus also stated, this, a new command I give to you, love one another as I have loved you. So this is not saying I'm going to love you like I love me, because I may not love me like that, right? I'm going to love you like Christ loved us. I'm going to do my best to love like Christ, right? So that it can come from a pure and real place rather than a misunderstanding of what love is. So we can know this is the love of Christ. I love you with the love of Christ. Maybe he's still working on me. Maybe he's still showing me how to love myself best. But when I gain a better understanding of what love is, right? It's not this feeling, it's a decision. And that decision can be seen in that 1 Corinthians, right? 13, 1 through 8. Love is patient. I'm going to be patient with that person, even though at times I haven't even been patient with myself. I've been a little impulsive, making decisions that I shouldn't be making. But I don't want you to be impulsive, right? Loving you may project some type of impulsive anxiety, making decisions that you shouldn't be making here. And I've done that to myself, thinking that I'm doing something good. But in fact, at the end of that, it was something wrong, right? I haven't been kind to myself, right? I haven't been kind with my emotional health, getting into relationships and situations that I shouldn't be, that affected me emotionally, that affected me mentally, that affected me physically, financially, on all different levels, right? I haven't been kind to myself. I haven't done the necessary things to be kind to myself. So am I in a position to, love you properly when I haven't been doing that for myself? Right? We got to go back to what Christ said. Look what he said. A new command I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. So let's not confuse, love others as you would love yourself, like love your neighbor as you would love yourself, but love your neighbor like Christ. That's the command. Not to confuse. It's saying, hey, look, as I love myself, is based on the relationship that I have with Christ. I see that he loves me, so I'm going to love myself. And when I get that relationship together, right, now I can love those like Christ have loved us. I think that this is important because as family members, as friends, sometimes we have great intentions, but the practical steps in trying to be there for somebody or show that you love somebody, sometimes it's not the best, especially for those who deal with trauma, who deal with mental illnesses and disorders, who deal with addiction and substance abuse. We got to take a seat back and say, you know what? Am I properly supporting them in the best way? Am I loving them like Christ or the best way that I can? For those that may not believe that they are dealing with certain type of issues, take a seat back and be intentional with the person that you're loving. Do they need a bottle for their birthday? And I know that when they drink, bad things happen. Do they need, a box of weed or marijuana? And I know when they get high, they make, bad decisions. Do they need, to be laying around, playing around when I know they just got out of a relationship that was traumatic? We got to take a seat back and intentionally love those with the love of Christ, right? But how do we do that, beloved? How are you in your relationship with God? How are you in your relationship with self? Are you patient with yourself? Are you kind with yourself? Right? Let's love like Christ, y'all. Let's love the way that we should, so that people can experience that on a whole nother level. Let's be intentional, let's be supportive, and let's be there for our families, right? Thank you for tapping in. Again, this is another day above land. I really do pray that you take grace, take care, and save space for love. Till next time.